So Mercury's in Gatorade, and it brought who knows what with it. It just took me 20 minutes to set up Audacity, and I'm still like ringing in my own ears. Oh my God. Like,
and we couldn't hear each other, but you could hear when I put my headphones in, we couldn't hear each other, but you could hear me typing, my phone drop.
yeah,
What is happening?
I don't even know. Oh my God.
I don't know either.
So I'm so sorry if to future Alyssa, if you're having any problems adjusting the audio, like I think you're gonna.
Poor future Alyssa.
Hi, Ellen. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Oh, I was doing okay until just now. Oh my God.
Right? Hi, everyone. My name is Ellen.
And my name's Alyssa, and welcome to the Modern Singer Podcast.
Welcome.
Oh, how's everyone else's Mercury retrograde starting out? Because mine started right when we started calling each other. And it took us 20 minutes for me to set up my audio today.
Yeah, it's been a bad tech morning. Nothing makes me feel older than when my technology doesn't go as planned. Like, is it me? Is the technology? Am I just old now and don't know what's going on? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, my tech was fine all day. I taught 2 classes, took another one. Like, my tech's been fine. The trains were even running on time, which it's New York. Who's heard of that? And all of a sudden, I tried to record, and Mercury said, "No, you're good. You're okay. That's okay."
It's me. I'm bringing the bad juju. You had too much good juju for the first part of the day, and now it was like, no.
Oh my God,
sorry.
speaking of good juju, audition season is full force in New York right now for musical theater.
It's August.
And I had 4 auditions this week.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
I think one of the cool things that I heard one of the casting directors say was, so they called 30 people back out of 2,400 people that applied, and like only 8 sopranos were there. He said, you need to celebrate this. It used to be everyone would just come in for the cattle call, and then you would know about the callback, and it would be more of a thing to celebrate. Now it's just you got an email saying, here's your casting time. And so if you get the callback, this is your reminder to celebrate, because
celebrate the little wins.
Exactly. So my house is currently a mess because of 4 auditions.
But you're going to still celebrate, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm still going to celebrate. There are Pop-Tarts in my kitchen that I'm going to have right after this.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. What flavor of Pop-Tart?
Strawberry. My mom sent them to me. She also just sent me a new blender. Thanks, Mom.
Oh, thanks, Mom.
I broke
Are you
mine.
A strawberry Pop-Tart person? That's
I'm not
like
a
your
big
favorite?
strawberry Pop-Tart person. S'mores and cookies and cream are the best flavors, obviously.
Yes. Also, the brown sugar ones. I love the brown sugar ones.
Those are a high contender, but I wouldn't count them in my top 5, personally.
S'mores is bomb, though. Alex is a strawberry girly, and I just can't get behind the strawberry. You know, like I don't hate on the strawberry, but the chocolatey flavors are my favorite. S'mores, brown sugar, like all day.
Yeah, but if I'm in the mood for like a strawberry, oh my God, does it hit the spot? Blueberry, however, absolutely not.
No, never.
Absolutely not.
Never blueberry. Welcome back to our rep series. This episode, we're talking about New American Opera, which is really exciting because, yeah, I know. We don't really talk about this very much in our industry. A lot of people are singing new rep, but it's like, where do you find it? Start? So, exactly. So all the operas that we talk about today are originally composed in English and premiered in 2000 or later, except for Flight, which premiered in 1998, but I figured 2 years was close enough. Please don't hate me.
Yes. So the first one is my favorite. Oh, this is, So it's a 4-person cast. This is Glory Denied by Tom Chiapullo with a book by Tom Philpott. And, so if you've read the book, you know the plot. But Glory Denied focuses on the very true story of Colonel Jim Thompson, America's longest held prisoner of war. And the story deals not only with Thompson's suffering in the jungles of Southeast Asia, but also the struggles that followed for him and his family after he was freed. So this is a 4-person cast. It's older Tom, older Alice, younger Alice and older Alice. And so young Alice and Tom are the past, older Alice and Tom are the current place. So the first one we're going to talk about is my go-to. It is My Darling Jim. It is sung by young Alice. She is the higher soprano, whereas older Alice is more of like the darker soprano land. It's been played by mezzos, but it's amazing. I actually got to study with Caroline, who played the original older Alice, and I learned so much about this piece. So obviously it's a soprano, and young Alice has written a letter to her husband prior to his being taken prisoner of war in the Vietnam War. And this aria depicts young Alice's emotions through a brief look into everyday life. And I think the most important part of this aria that isn't really covered much unless you know the show, this is the second to last piece in the show. And it is heart-wrenching because this is the letter that he kept with him for 9 years in his pocket while he was there. Like, this is one of the things, a lot of shows will have it where the page is like worn thin from him opening it. And oh my God, I cannot tell you how much power I have felt making the entire audience cry singing this.
That's really sweet.
Oh my God. No. Oh my God. Are you tearing up right now?
No, I'm not. No, I'm totally fine. Okay.
Yeah. I love this because there's so much dramatic storytelling in here that a lot of the time light lyric color sopranos don't get a lot of time to share. A lot of times we're like la-di-da, flippity-doo, and we're just bopping around playing like kids, playing younger people who aren't really like dealing with like all of these big traumas. But like, this is a big thing. She was writing to him while he was already overseas, and this is the last letter he got from her before he was before he was captured. Kidnapped is the wrong term.
That's really sweet and heart-wrenching.
I know. Oh my God, I know. I love that aria. It is just so gorgeous. And the way that it's written is so loving because then he follows it up with this, oh my God, heart-wrenching just ender of a show. Yeah, if you need a good cry, this is a great show for you. Oh my God. So the next aria we have is the Catalogue aria, which is sung by older Thompson, who is the baritone of the show. And young Thompson was a prisoner of war in the Vietnam War. Yes. He received a letter from Richard Nixon warning him that the America he is returning to might be different than how he left it. Like, this is the time of the Vietnam War. There was a lot going on here in the States. And his pent-up frustration comes out as a patter rant through this aria as he lists all of the changes that happened in America while he was a prisoner of war. So he was told when he was younger that it's going to be different, but then it's been an extra 9 years and everything is so much more different. And it's fast and it's fiery and it's a good rage aria. It's a good rage aria.
The next opera that we're covering is Fire Shut Up in My Bones. You've probably heard this because it's made a splash through the opera world in recent years. The composer is Terence Blanchard, and the librettist is Casey Lemons. This opera is based on the memoir of the same name by Charles M. Blow. It opened at the Met in 2021, and actually this is the first opera by a Black composer ever performed there, which is just wild.
Way too late, but I mean, at least they're starting to change.
Wild. Yes, I'm happy that we're making the change, but when I heard that, it just blew my mind. When this made a splash in the opera world, like I said, that was like one of the main headlines, and I was like, what? Like, this is 2021. Like, what are... Anyway, big news. It's huge. So, the composer describes this opera as opera in jazz, and the opera focuses on Charles, a young African-American man who grows up in poverty. As he grows up, he figures out how to deal with the sexual abuse that he suffered at the hands of his cousins. So this is a pretty heavy piece.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like modern American operas that are about happy things.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I really hope that we're all in therapy because, oh my God.
There are a couple that we won't cover today, but I mentioned kind of in a list at the end. So I'll try to make note of which ones are a little bit lighter. But yes, with a lot of the ones that we covered today and a lot that has been composed is a lot heavier.
We all have a lot of feelings right now.
Yeah, we do.
Myself
which
included.
I'm not surprised about. So the first aria that we're covering is Leave It on the Road. This is sung by Billy. She's a soprano. She is Charles's mother, and she teaches her son some important life lessons as his older son looks on. Spinner, Billy's husband, is a womanizer, and when Billy discovers his infidelity, she threatens him with a gun and kicks him out.
Get him.
Right? Girl, yes. Like, thank God we have an empowering female role. That wasn't the case in some of the older operas that we covered in this series. After this, she decides to start her life over and move to Uncle Paul's farm. And the second aria that we wanted to point out is called Peculiar Grace. This is sung by Charles, which is a bass baritone. And Charles meets a girl named Evelyn, and they have a sexual relationship. His brothers tell Charles that he has solved all his problems, and Charles decides to go north and strike out on his own, but ends up getting a full scholarship to the nearby college, which his mother persuades him to accept. It's an absolutely beautiful aria. I had not heard it before doing this research, and I played the whole thing over 3 times because
God, I love it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just a powerful show. I think the Met, you can purchase it on their on-demand, so definitely check it out.
You say that about every single opera you talk about. Definitely check it out.
Definitely check it out. It's my new 100%.
It really is.
You know, I had to kick out the 100% because it got really annoying and I said it too much, and now it's
I cut out a lot of them
check it
too.
out. So nobody knows the full extent of how terrible
but I do.
it is. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, except for the fact that you've decided that I need to relive some trauma from grad school. So the next opera we're talking about is Dead Man Walking. And it is written by Jay Keggy with the libretto by playwright Terrence McNally, based on the book by Sister Helen Prejean. And I love this show. Caveat, real dark start. There's a book. There is a movie. This sticks a little bit closer to the book than the movie. The movie took a couple of different choices that I remember. It's been a couple of years. And I put a lot of it out of my mind. Oh my God. Like literally every single person in this cast had to go to therapy afterwards. I've talked about it before. I had to watch one of my best friends die on stage every night. It was a lot.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Anyways, in 1980s Louisiana, a young couple is brutally assaulted and killed, and the convicted murderer, Joseph Desrochers, sits on death row. Sister Helen Prejean has agreed to be his spiritual advisor while he's on death row, making basically his peace with life. The opera focuses on the relationship between Joseph Desrochers and Sister Helen, who gives him love and support, and they end up becoming very close friends. And she's actually there when he is given the lethal injection. This sparks a lot of talk about lethal injection, about the death penalty in general. And it's a really good conversation to be having. It definitely has some really great things. Just know that if you do decide to do this role or do this show, go in mindfully, take care of yourself. You are more important than a show. That is my biggest caveat for this. It is a lot.
And a caveat for a lot of these pieces, because like we said, they are really dark. So, watch the movie, read the books, and...
Read the book and then watch the movie. That is always the correct order.
Good point, yes. Read the book, then... Thank you. Read the book,
Harry Potter
then watch
included.
the movie. Harry Potter included. I have failed on that journey, but
we're gonna have a talk about that. Well, thanks to technology, we took a little fiver, and now we're back. This is wild.
I think the point we were making, though, was do a little research on these pieces before you go in, so like to schedule in mental health breaks, you need to talk to your therapist about, ways you can decompress when you're doing heavy pieces like this.
Yeah, and just coming back to making sure that you're connecting with everyone in the room as a person, because there is an assault scene in this. There's another fight scene later on. Ellen's camera just turned off again. Great. Are you back?
There you are. Yep, I'm here.
Great. What's happening?
We have ghosts. That's all I can say.
That's fine. But yeah, basically set aside time to process is my biggest thing. Make sure that you're connecting with people. and please go to therapy. You have to during shows like this. So the first aria we're going to talk about is This Journey by Sister Helen Prejean, who is sung by a mezzo-soprano. And oh my God, this show is amazing. So we actually got to work with Flicka, who was in the original cast. And oh, she's so cool. But anyways.
That's awesome.
That was my favorite part about this. So this aria takes place early in the opera when Sister Helen is driving to the prison. She drives to Louisiana State Penitentiary and thinks about her acceptance of being able to work with Desrochers. It's a lot of her working through it in her mind, seeing, do I really want to do this? Am I actually being called to this? What's here? And she's driving. So she has to keep her mind on the road. There's like a part where she almost gets in a crash. It's really cool. I love this aria, and it also turned into the running joke of the show of this journey to my, and then we would just say wherever we were going.
I like that.
You got to bring some light in. And then the second aria that we're taking from this show to talk about is Everybody Hear That, which is sung by Joseph Desrochers, who's a baritone. This aria takes place inside Joseph Desrochers' prison cell. A guard tells him that his execution date has been set, and he muses on his fate. It gets a little dark. There's a push-up scene at the beginning of it too. So if you're going to do this, you got to work on your push-ups. I remember the boys having to like practice push-ups outside of rehearsal because they had to practice like doing, I think it was like a minute of push-ups and then holding a plank and then also singing. It was wild.
So the physicality of this aria is a lot. You have to,
the physicality
have to do a lot while you're singing.
Desrochers in general, like, get your workout on, boys. You're gonna need it because this is an endurance role for sure. And anyone doing this show, there is a fight scene in the prison as well, and it's pretty cool. There's some other really great characters in this, including Joseph Desrochers' mom, sung by the other mezzo. So there were 2 mezzo leads in this show, which is super cool. I love that about this. There's Kitty, who's a coloratura soprano. There's the nuns. There's a children's chorus for some reason. Like, I get why there's a children's chorus, but why the children's chorus comes on right after the assault scene always baffled me.
Great timing, it sounds like.
It was really hard because I was one of like the child wranglers. So I had to like try to keep them away from seeing anything, but also we were in the stairwell and we could hear everything. So,
but rush them on right away after.
Oh yeah, no, like there's a blackout, we're on, and then we're singing a happy-go-lucky camp song.
That's good, yeah.
It was very jarring.
Juxtaposition?
And it was written purposefully like that. Like gave us a bunch of stuff about it, and like it was written like that on purpose.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So just like be aware of that going in. It's very jarring.
Another thing to definitely look at before starting the piece.
Wahoo.
The next piece we're covering is actually my favorite opera of all time. Yes, I'm saying it.
I didn't know that.
This is my favorite piece of all time. In my office, I have like, the title of this piece is Fellow Travelers. In my office, I have a bunch of Fellow Traveler signage. Arizona Opera did it, and nobody told me, and I'm not going to ruin it. I'm not going to tell you. If you haven't seen this piece, you just have to go see it, and you have to see it live if you can. And nobody really told me, like I had the general marketing blurb. I'm in marketing. I knew about it, but I never watched the show, which is a mistake. Never do that.
Oh my God.
And I was sobbing. I mean, I was sobbing so hard at the end, I couldn't breathe. You know what I mean? When you're just like, I can't stop sobbing. And then I was working, so I had to go back to work. And
people God, you went back to work after that?
Yeah, I watched it on opening night. Don't recommend if you're in admin. Don't do that. Watch it before. Go watch a dress. But I didn't do that, and I never make that mistake again. But this is absolutely my favorite operatic piece of all time. This opera is composed by Gregory Spears, and the libretto is by Greg Pierce. And this is based on the book by Thomas Mallon. This opera is set in the 1950s McCarthy era and focuses on the Lavender Scare, which was a witch hunt and mass firings of gay people in the United States government. If you don't know anything about that, actually, the Lavender Scare was briefly mentioned in Oppenheimer. So,
I still haven't seen that.
Oppenheimer is hard to follow. I won't go into that, but if you have seen Oppenheimer and you did catch it, they're trying to hire people to work for the project. And he says, they won't hire me. I'm a fellow traveler. So it was just like a little brief. And I was like, oh, I know what they're talking about. Anyway, in Fellow Travelers, this story centers on the love affair between Hawkins Fuller, who is a State Department official, and Timothy Laughlin, who is a recent college graduate working at the senator's office. This opera has a lot of people in it. I did only cover 2 arias by Hawk and Timothy, but there's so much beautiful music. So definitely check out our playlist and click on Fellow Travelers and listen to the whole show because absolutely stunning music. The first aria we're going to cover is Last Night. It is sung by Timothy Laughlin, who is a tenor. And in this aria, Timothy confesses to a priest about his relationship with Hawkins, and he's struggling with his faith and sexuality. I feel like this is really relevant in the time we're in right now, and it's an absolutely stunning piece and just kind of, brings to light what I'm sure a lot of people deal with. The second aria is Our Very Own Home, sung by Hawkins Fuller, who is a baritone.
This song makes me cry every time.
Exactly. Listen to this
I saw
too.
it live at Boston Lyric. I cry every time.
So hard. Like, this is towards the end of the opera, and oh my God, it is absolutely heartbreaking. Again, I'm not going to ruin the show, but 3 years have passed since the beginning of Timothy and Hawkins' love affair, and Hawkins is now married to a woman, but he would like to rekindle his relationship with Timothy. Hawkins rents a house in D.C. for his afternoon hookups with Timothy, but Hawkins expresses that he can't be everything Timothy wants and ends the affair. And he's talking about, like, in a perfect world, could be our own home, and just think of it that way, and don't think of reality. Think of, this is our own little fairy tale, our own little getaway. And it is absolutely stunning and completely depressing. Joseph Latanzi sings this, and it is the most heartbreaking thing in the entire world. So again, listen to our playlist. You definitely need to hear some of these arias.
I mean, I know that, like, your partner isn't supposed to be everything for you, but if you're gonna have a partner and, like, not want to be a partner outside of a house, also, can I say that I wish I could have an apartment separate from my house? That would be great. Right. I wish I made that kind of money. Oh, government money.
It's just so depressing because
it's so sad.
They're living double lives.
Oh my God, it's so sad.
They're living double lives, and Timothy wants to be with Hawkins, and Hawkins, I think, understands the situation more and isn't ready to oust himself and be, ruin the government life that he has. And he would just like to go on pretending that he has 2 separate lives. And it's absolutely heartbreaking. And the end of the show is even more heartbreaking, and it's beautiful music, and the transitions, they don't go to it's not like a lot of blackout and then the crew runs on and change the set and stuff like that. They change the set while, action is going on stage. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that we're taking from cinema and musical theater and opera. It's kind of like taking the best of all of it and putting it into this piece. So it's stunning from every which way.
I love that this is your favorite opera.
It's my favorite opera of all time. Absolutely my favorite opera of all time.
The next opera we're going to talk about is Flight by Jonathan Dove, and the librettist is April DeAngelis. This opera, in part, was actually inspired by the true life story of Mehran Karimi Nassiri, an Iranian refugee who lived at the Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris for 18 years, unable to exit the airport terminal. And I cannot imagine. I've been to a couple of airports where there's no food inside of the airport terminal. It was all on the other side of security. This was also pre-2001, September 11th. So I don't know about Paris, but it was a lot more lax. I can remember security being so different. And I remember when everything changed. It was wild.
So wild. Short story time. My mom actually, pre 9/11, I was in middle school, accidentally brought a steak knife through and they passed through security.
Oh my God.
We didn't even know until we got into our connecting flight. We were going to London, so it was probably Dallas, Fort Worth or something. But we got through security, got into Dallas. She was opening the different compartments. She used that suitcase to go camping and stuff, so she must have just stuck it in there.
No.
She pulled out this massive knife and freaked out because we were in an airport, and she's like, holy shit. So she like takes her bag to the bathroom and just throws it in the trash.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Anyway, so that's how lax it was back in the day.
So the first aria that we're going to talk about is the Minskwoman's aria, and it is sung by the Minskwoman, who is a mezzo-soprano. I've heard this done quite a few times because it was also done at my grad school. It was the year before I got there. But the Minskwoman is pregnant and on the brink of childbirth. Oh, before we even get there, hold on, backtrack. So we are actually at the airport, and all of the flights have been shut down because of a really bad storm, and everyone is basically stuck there. So it's kind of just like a cut of human life in a bad day at the airport when, you know, Mercury in retrograde decides to turn off all of your technology like it did to me today.
They can relate? They can relate.
No, I can't. Coming back to the Minskwoman's aria, she's a mezzo-soprano and she's pregnant on the brink of childbirth. In this very sad aria, she talks about how she's brought this suitcase on a trip, filled it with all of the beautiful things for her, and now it's filled with all of these things for her baby. And it's a lot of her lamenting the life that she had because she's going to be a mom. Like, I think she's still excited about it, but from what I understand, she's excited to be a mom, but she's still mourning the life that she's losing of not being a mom, if that makes sense. I don't have kids. I don't know. I have cats.
That makes sense.
And the next aria we're going to talk about is Dawn Still Darkness, or the Refugees aria, which is a countertenor, and I'm so excited about that. I love that there are countertenors in these new operas. And the refugee can't leave the airport because he doesn't have a passport or any other documentation. This aria takes place in Act 3. It's dawn and the storm has finally cleared. Every character now reels from what's happened the previous night, and it's just so stunning. And it's, like, I don't even know how to put it into words. I have actual goosebumps on my arms right now. And it's amazing. I love it.
Because of time, and because there are so many amazing new operas that are being composed right now, we didn't cover all of them, but we did want to mention them just in case you wanted to check them out on your own, haven't heard about whatever. So a few other operas definitely to check out are The Little Prince, Dark Sisters.
Dark Sisters is also really dark.
Hence in the title.
I did that one too. Ellen just wanted to give me a lot of PTSD today from grad school.
I did. I almost covered Dark Sisters, and then I was like, I can't
do that again. It's about an FLDS cult, if you didn't know. And it was loosely based on Warren Jeffs and his absolute nonsense, but like, I have family ties to some of the legal stuff that happened, so it hit me a little harder than most.
Yeah, I could see that.
It was a lot, and it was like during all of the like start of the Women's March movement that we were in rehearsal, so it was just whole, and like our costumes were actually from the FLDS. Like, they made our costumes.
That's interesting,
because like we bought the dresses from them. It was, oh my god,
wow.
And they could have spent $8 extra on each costume and gotten us all pockets, and I'm still bummed about that. They didn't get us any pockets.
No pockets for you.
Back to a list of things.
Another dark one. Marnie is on there. Akhenaten, which the Met has done, so you can check it out there. Billy Budd, Ghost of Versailles.
Also dark.
Billy Budd is dark.
There's a really good countertenor aria in there.
Billy Budd is dark. Ghost of Versailles is dark. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Little Women, which if you've seen the movie or read the book, you know all about.
Spoiler alert, Beth dies.
Right. Shining Brow, which Arizona Opera also did, which has some dark, it's pretty dark. Amelia, The Handmaid's Tale, Everest, Dr. Atomic, which again is dark.
And Emmeline. Don't forget Emmeline. That's a really good one.
Oh, Emmeline. Thank you. Definitely check that out.
You know, Handmaid's Tale is really dark. I decided at the top of the pandemic that it would be a great time to read that book after I had already seen the opera. I knew where it was going.
Right.
And I saw the TV show. Also, the opera is fantastic. Right. BLO did it. Chef's kiss. Stunning.
I haven't seen that opera yet.
I saw it. They staged it at a gym when they did it at BLO. So that it would feel like the whatchamacallit that all of the handmaids are kept in. It was
that's
wild. That is something else that I really do like about newer operas, is that they're doing them in these newer, very different venues and expanding what a theater is. So that is another very, very, very cool aspect of all of this.
Yeah, and what I've noticed is a lot of the sets are more minimal and easier to transpose into a larger or smaller space. So they're able to be done at, on a smaller scale at theaters that might not be as large, like monetarily wise, like smaller companies, or on the big stage, easier to, take video of and stuff. So or like you said, take it to a completely different space that's outside of the theater, which is really cool.
And there's a lot being done with lighting now too, and LED screens. I've done a lot of shows with those now. It's really, really innovative, and I really like it.
Yeah, I love what they're doing with new opera.
Don't forget that you can find our Spotify track for all of the arias we chatted about today in our show notes below, or if you're on YouTube, it's just in the links. And don't forget to check out the rest of our Rep Series episodes on Spotify or wherever you listen.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to hear more from us, sign up for our newsletter to gain access to our freebies and other updates.
Ellen and I want to make sure that we can keep getting new information out to our singing community, but to do that, we need your help. If you like what you're hearing, make sure to subscribe wherever you listen. This helps us make sure that you never miss an episode, and you can also share it with a friend to help us reach more of our singing community. Not only that, but if you're on Spotify, we actually post weekly polls and questions. Then you can interact with us a little bit more to tell us what you're looking for.
Are you looking for the resources we mentioned today, including our Spotify playlist? Check it out in our show notes to see everything we mentioned in this episode.
And if you want to buy us a coffee to enjoy while we're creating these episodes, you can drop us a tip wherever you follow us.
We'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye. Oh no. We both just did that.